Woohoo!
Ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. We're here. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our Get Connected show with Julie and Michael Tasner. Julie Vargas here and Michael Tasner. And we're really
Hey, good morning.
excited to premiere this episode for you and just to give you some really rock solid tips and strategies to help you get connected. Because I don't know about you, Michael, but I'm hearing that a lot of our owners and directors and, even staff members are feeling like so disconnected right now.
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy time, and it's especially a crazy time in the childcare space of, staffing challenges and parent challenges and just dealing with everything that's kind of going on. It definitely is a good time to figure out how you can really get connected across the board to make sure that you continue to grow and thrive in any kind of economy.
Yeah, and that's beautifully said. And that's the objective of the show, is to really help you get connected. And I know that we've got owners and directors who are really functioning on different levels right now. Some are thinking like, is this really the business I want to stay in? And some are like, I absolutely love this. How do I bring it back to life? And some are just in the trenches, but still in the trenches, trying to figure out, how do I keep it going? How do I keep us healthy? And there's so many different components of what's going on right now with the pandemic and what's happening, that it's so important to figure out how to get connected. And that's what Michael and I are going to share with you today, are ways to get connected. And I'm going to ask him some questions. He's going to ask me some questions. And we're going to give you some hard-hitting strategies. So if you don't have a paper and pen in front of you, you might want to go run and grab one, because we're going to give you some really good content that you can implement immediately. But before we get into that content, Michael, let's talk a little bit about our vision for this show and what future shows are going to be like.
Yeah, definitely love it. So when Julie and I were talking about kind of the name and what kind of content do we think that everyone could really benefit from, at the highest level, and Julie said this, she goes, we just need to come from a place of serving and just giving as much value and as much content as we can. So what I love about Julie's background, and then on the flip side, my background, is that we're very much complementary in terms of kind of our core skill sets, or the superhero powers, or whatever you'd like to call it. So we're going to talk a lot about how to get better connected with your team, how to get more connected with your families. Julie is an expert in all things kind of law of attraction and mindset. And I know that you've had some really insane results with some of the centers that you've worked with of, all of a sudden, manifesting 10 enrollments overnight and different things like that.
Oh, yeah. The results are crazy.
Love to hear.
Talk about where that all starts, So
yeah, definitely.
If you're tuning in and you've got questions for us, we probably won't be able to address them during the live broadcast, but we will come back and interact with you. And it will also help us cultivate future shows. So it'll help us put it together to say, okay, well, enough people want information on this, so let's create a show on that. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we both have some good thoughts for guests. So we're going to try and cover the full gamut of all things childcare, from team, from money, everyone's favorite topic. I know there's lots of questions around all these different PPP programs, and should you do them? How do you make sure you get reimbursed and follow compliance? To my background is all things marketing. So how do you continue to communicate with the parents? How do you communicate with people that have chosen to withdraw? And then when do you start marketing for summer camp, for example, or do you start marketing for summer camp? And but we're just going to bring in any and all guests that we think could be valuable to all of you. And that is really our highest intention, is just at this time to come from a place of service and giving and kind of sharing the love, spreading some joy, and hopefully you'll glean some helpful tips.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. And when Michael and I were brainstorming about the show too, he came up with a name like, about the connection. And years ago, we did an audio program called The Leadership Connection. If anybody remembers receiving our CDs, or when we first started, it was actually audio cassettes. We were mailing out audio cassettes. Oh, wow. Those puppies are, an interesting thing to edit. But I love the idea of connection. So then we decided, well, let's get connected. And Michael's idea around connection was really helping you connect not only to people, but also back to, a place of your own soul, your own spirit. So there might be some spirituality that we talk about on here, just to really help you get connected back with who you are, so that you feel alive with your life and happy, authentically happy with what you're doing in this world. So, we really love the idea of connecting and reconnecting. And if you love it too, give us a like, give us a love, give us an oh yeah. We'd love to hear from you. And we will come back and address your comments and your questions after the live air shows wraps up. So, one thing that I talk about a lot, Michael, is vision. And I know that you have a pretty specific vision with your company, and I'll share with you the vision with mine. But I think right now is really an important time of reconnecting with your vision. And I find the people who are kind of like, just blowing in the wind, where whatever direction they wake up and it's like, oh, it's sunny, it's this, they don't have a clear vision for what they want their day to be like, are the ones who are really struggling right now. So when you take time to recultivate your vision, and vision is something that's growing, expanding, it's always changing, and it should always be alive. It's not something we set once and it's like, okay, done. But I want to help you understand what our visions are for the work that we do with our clients. Then I want to challenge you to think about your vision, because if you're feeling like you're in this place of confusion or being stuck, chances are it's because you've lost sight of your vision. So, Michael, do you have a vision, something that, is so big that people might think that you're a little bit crazy when you think about the work that you do?
I love that. So there was a really, really good book that I read, and he rebranded the way that he phrased this, but the book is called Double Double, and it's by a gentleman named Cameron Herold, and he was the chief operating officer for 1-800-GOT-JUNK. So he helped the company go from, 30 million to 180 million.
Good number.
And yeah, definitely a good number. And then I think he exited it at some point. But what I loved about the book, my favorite part of the book, was that he calls it a painted picture. So the exercise is essentially looking 3 years out and saying, this is what my company is going to look like 3 years from today. And you write the document as if it were already coming true. So I have this document for the company, and I update it twice a year. So it's meant to be a little bit of a fluid document, but it's not meant to be a document that literally every time the wind blows that you go and update it. So
right.
I did update it with all this COVID stuff going on, because there was something that we didn't necessarily think about initially that we could offer.
Yes.
So we wanted to add that piece in, but I definitely do. And on our side, it's to help 1,000 childcare centers across the globe add a second location or a third location. So, we get really excited when we're helping them drive enrollment and kind of get to that secret sauce number, whether it's the capacity or the ratio that you're aiming for most profitability. But we get really excited when a center wants to add a second location or a third location and continue to grow their reach. So, we've worked with hundreds, but when I put the number down, I'm like, can we actually hit 1,000? And so we call it the road to 1,000.
Oh,
and
nice.
We just kind of track it. And it's one of those metrics that we're reporting. We have a Monday morning huddle at 11 a.m. and we're reporting on that number of kind of how are we trekking on the road to 1,000. And it just is one of those things that just keeps everyone motivated, keeps the team aligned, and just really has that stretch goal as well. If it were the road to, 300 or 400, we would have already hit it. But to your point.
And I think that's the thing with your vision, is that it's got to be something that excites you. So when your goal or when your vision is to impact 1,000 childcare, and it could be 1 million, who knows, but it's got to excite you.
Definitely. Yeah. What about yourself? I know you're up to some really amazing work, and I know you just came out with this fun apparel line yesterday that everyone's grabbing stuff up. So we got to make sure we tell people about that at some point on the show. But I know you've got some grand plans and some things that you've shared with me in the past.
Yeah. When I think about my vision and what really excites me about this industry and the results that we've seen with our clients, it's really about helping our owners and our directors and everybody in the industry, really. And this is big, but it's about falling madly in love. And I love the word love. I use the word love a lot. I use the word dreamy a lot. If you've been a student of mine or in any of my programs, you've heard me use these kind of words, but they mean a lot, because I think this is this is your life, and you've got to really be in love with what you're doing. And if you're not, you've got to evaluate, am I going in the right direction? So I state my vision as I help owners or leaders in the industry help them fall madly in love with every aspect of how they run or manage their childcare programs, so their lives, in fact, become dreamy. And that's what I love to see, because the transformation doesn't just stop with, and I'm sure like you too, just doesn't stop with getting the enrollments, doesn't stop with seeing how many staff you can get. It's
Sure.
about, are they the right staff? Are they the right enrollments? Do I feel good being around these people? And I love the book that you shared. So thank you. I'm going to go and look that up and get a copy of that, because I think there's some great direction in there.
Yeah, and I think he renamed it now to Vivid Vision, so it's more in alignment with the word. So I think he decided to change it. I still like Painted Picture better, but that's just me. But I think he came out with another book called Vivid Vision or something like that, I believe. But same kind of concept of just painting it how you want to see it. So even using the words and the phrase and just kind of how you explained it. And I really love that. I've never been a student of yours, but I've obviously been a longtime admirer of your work. And I wouldn't know any center that wouldn't want to fall madly in love with what they're doing. And because I know there's a lot of center owners, sadly, that they dread coming in. And I mean, what problems am I going to be faced with today? And what staff complaints am I going to have? And what family is going to call and yell at me? And
right.
I mean, imagine the energy drain on that kind of attitude in perspective versus what you're not just proposing, but I mean, aiming to move people down of being in love with your business. So that's great.
Yeah. And I just love seeing the results too. So it's not, like I said, it extends beyond enrollments, but it also impacts people's personal lives. Because if you're so stressed out about money or where the enrollments are coming from or where you're going to find the staff member, you're taking that stuff home with you.
Sure.
It's not something that it's just 9 to 5 and then you forget about it and you're happy. You're going home, and some of our leaders are drinking too much wine. Some staff members are drinking too much wine, but we're just kind of trying to escape when the workday is done. And when I talk about blowing in the wind, it's kind of like, somebody comes up to us and says, oh, well, I want this from you. And somebody else will say, oh, and I want this from you. And somebody else will say, oh, and I want this from you. And then you really lose sight of the initial reason you started your business. And that's why refocusing, recentering, rejuvenation, some people are calling it pivot, are really important to be looking at, not just right now, but every single day. When you look at that vision, is it the roadmap for where you truly want to go? Or has it become a journey that somebody else has decided to take you on and you said, okay, I'll go that way? So it's really about getting back in touch with your true heart's desires, so that you really experience a whole different reality. And, the other thing to caution, Michael, and I don't know about you, but we often hear, our owners going and talking to other owners, and everybody's talking about how it's just not possible, or how the state of the world is this, or about how the economy is this, or how things will never happen. And that's where I tell our owners, plug your ears and go, la, 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 I can't hear you. Because if you're going to make something really incredible happen for yourself, you've got to pay more attention to the desire in your heart than you do the noise in your ears. And the noise in your ears is going to ring very loud in comparison. So you've got to create a noisier environment that's in direct correlation with your vision to really bring that to life.
No, that was extremely well said. I hope everyone was kind of taking notes and kind of letting that sit in. And I think it's a great part to re-listen to as well after the replay goes live. And what kind of comes to mind for me is the whole concept of, are you living your life by design, or are you living your life by default?
Yeah.
And anytime something kind of crazy happens like this, and I'm just calling it something crazy. I mean, there's different words, and it's not something that anyone could have ever predicted, but you can choose to continue to just accept things as is and kind of have the default status, or you can choose to pivot your life and continue down the path that's going to lead you to more blue oceans, so to speak. So I would love to hear, Julie, I'd love to kind of give some examples. And I think what would be helpful for some of the people listening, I know that you have a lot of centers that you're working with that are thriving. I'm working with a lot of centers that are thriving. And when I'm saying thriving, I mean, there's not that many centers that I know of, and maybe you have some that are like, this is the best time ever. But when I'm saying thriving, that to me could be the difference of you still have the large portion of your enrollments, and you're getting a lot of, happy letters. And there's centers that we're seeing that are having food delivered by parents almost every day and things like that, compared to another center that sadly may have had to close, whether it was your choice or the state's choice, or 80-90% of your kids are gone. So again, it's not that anyone is enrolling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students at this very second, but I know that we have centers that are enrolling. I know that you have centers that are enrolling. So
absolutely,
I would love to kind of start with, and maybe you could kind of give the listeners some tips or some thoughts around how do you first, I guess, get connected with the team? And I don't know if you're hearing a lot of that, but I'm hearing a lot of centers saying we've either had to lay some people off, and now this whole unemployment stuff, I'll just say stuff with air quotes, my little virtual air quotes of, well, geez, they're getting more money than they are when they were working with us. And so I'd love to hear if you had some tips to kind of not just get them back, but how to really get connected with your team and with even with the people that are there every day now that are kind of essential workers as well, because they're there on the front line. So
absolutely, and this is what I love, and I love transforming workplaces, and team is just such a huge part of it, because imagine you can't really start a childcare business and then have it be successful without having a successful team in place, right? You're only going to be as successful as your team. But the vision, I want to just touch on a couple of books that I think would be really good. And then I'm going to go into the team aspect. And you may have read these books, Michael, so I want to get your take on them too. But these are two books that really got me turned on and tuned in to how important vision is. One is in Viktor Frankl's In Man's Search for Meaning. And he talked about life in the Nazi death camps. And there were prisoners who were thriving. So I think about that with our centers who are enrolling. And then there were prisoners who were committing suicide by running into barbed wire fences. And Viktor Frankl was one of the prisoners, and he made it his study, and he talks about it in this book as to, well, what's really the difference between the two people, the ones who were just checking out. And we see that going on right now. Right now we have people who are checking out, but he's like, what's the difference between the people who are checking out and the people who are thriving and waking up and still being grateful for everything that they have? And he says it's the ones who held a vision in their heart for a vision beyond present circumstances. And that's what's really important to do. And this is really important too in your question with team. But the other book that comes to mind, and that's a great read, the other book that comes to mind is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Sure. No, that's a great book. I haven't read the other book that you just mentioned, so I'm going to have to go back and read that one as well. But
Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, the fascinating thing in that book is, how people, it was like the time of Depression, and they were interviewing people who became millionaires. And they're like, well, why are some people soaring and some people not? And part of that is vision. And there's some other secrets in that book. And if you want the secrets, shoot me a comment and say, Julie, can you please share the secrets? And I'll make sure I reveal that on our next show, which is happening, Thursday at 9 o'clock. So we'll be doing 2 times a week. So Tuesdays and Thursdays will be coming to you live. All right. So let's get to the team aspect of Michael's question. Let me know if I'm, I hit it on the head here. but with your team, I think right now more than ever, it's really important, again, to go back to the vision and to be telling your team what the vision is. And to me, bad visions are, and I've seen this happen in all my consulting experience is, the vision is, oh, we're going to be the best in the county, or we're going to do this. And to me, those aren't really great visions. The vision has to be something that really motivates you, that really drives you, that really excites you in your heart. And I want to also share with you that Mary, one of our clients on our last coaching call just a couple of weeks ago, she shared with me what happened. Somebody came in and they did a tour. She's still open. They did a tour. And she said that they said, hey, you know what? I can't start until September. I was wondering if you could hold a spot, and we'd like to prepay you for the entire year.
Wow.
So this just happened 2 weeks ago. So I really want to challenge everybody to start expanding your mindset and start thinking in terms of it's possible. So if all we're talking about with our team is the limitations, what we can't do, how crazy things are, and we're venting and we're stressed, that's really setting the protocol for the communication and the mindset and the feeling that's going to be prevalent throughout our organization. So it's really important for all of our leaders to take a stance and write these 2 words down that say it's possible, and then cultivate a big vision under that. And then with specific strategy, you take that vision, you do a Facebook Live like we're doing right now. And there's so many tools that you can use. And Michael's the technology genius here, not me. But you could take that vision, you get on, you do a Facebook Live, and you just talk to your staff about it. If your team's not working with you, create a Facebook group just for your staff where you can come in daily and just feed them 2 to 3 minutes of inspiration, whether it's a quote, it's your vision, whether it's a recounting about the impact that you've made on the children in the past. But if we can bring people's minds to the place of success and moving forward, then that's the direction that we're going to be going. So when we talk about staying connected, there's so many tactical or strategical things you could do, but vision's got to be the guiding force, and then communicating that vision often and powerfully as you possibly can. Did that answer?
No, I love that. And
kind of long
as I'm getting a lot of stuff out that I should be making sure I'm taking back to my team as well. So this is just as beneficial for me as that I hope it is for all of you listening. But what I'm thinking as you're saying that is just as the leaders, I mean, you need to make sure that, I mean, your energy is contagious. And as you said, Julie, if, I mean, you're coming in and you're saying things like, well, we don't know if this is ever going to end, and you're complaining about the governors or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But as you said, I mean, if you're coming from that place and you're communicating that to your team, how is that going to get them excited? How is that going to get them, if they're at their house and you had to move them to unemployment, how is it going to get them to just not have to be focused only on the financial aspect, but to want to come back and join you as the time is right?
Yeah.
Because you've got that powerful vision, and love the idea of doing Facebook Lives with your team. And I mean, I'd love to hear, and you guys can put it in the comments, and Julie and I will make sure that we get back to you in the very near future, the next couple of days. But would love to hear how many of you are doing this with your team. And I would definitely challenge you, if you're not, to start executing this, because I know that I've been trying to communicate with my team, but as you're talking, I know that I'm not communicating as much as I should. And I think a lot of us are just stressed in general and things like that. But as you said, I mean, if you're coming from this place of having a great vision that's from the heart, that it's going to really help rally those troops and kind of move them in the right direction with you.
Yeah. And one of my core philosophies is that people want to be around people who they feel will enhance their lives. This is how people make buying decisions. This is how people buy into, taking a job with you. So if you have staff who are sitting at home and right now they're watching the news, they're feeling fearful, if those are the only messages that they're getting, and then they're surrounded by family. And I know we do family Zoom nights on Saturday nights. And I love it. But, my dad will get on and it's, oh, did you hear this, because he's a news watcher. And my mom is scared to death because she's watching the news. Sorry, Mom, if you're tuning in, I love you. But she's very afraid, because the only thing coming in your ears is like the news, the media, what they're saying. So it's important to check out of the news and tune into your vision. Sure. And when you tune into that vision and find crazy ways that are authentically and naturally you, then you're going to have people say, oh, when can we do that? When can we be a part of it? And I have people all the time come up to me and say, Julie, when can I be a part of what you're doing? This is so exciting. And it's because I get excited about things. And I think, like you said, that's highly contagious. So if you're not spreading that with your team, sharing motivational quotes, sharing your story, sharing your big vision, sharing the impact you're making in the lives of the children and how you're impacting their lives, and then they're going to go on to be doctors and whatever it might be, and their lives are going to be impacted, we're missing out on a huge opportunity. And we had a situation once where we had a center who was closing down sites. And I did a whole video on this. So scroll through my page if you want to tune into the video. But they were closing sites and they're like, Julie, you got to come in and help us make this announcement. So I coached the executive director on how to communicate this with their staff. And they didn't know how people were going to react. They were afraid. And by the end of the meeting, when I was there on site with them, the staff members, not even knowing if they were going to have jobs, left the room dancing.
Wow.
And to me, that was very powerful to say, okay, how can we take such a negative situation and have people feeling okay or feeling positive about it and then acting in positive ways? So that just always, always fascinates me that, that we can take our mindsets, transform them, and experience a whole different outcome.
Love it. No, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Very, very well said.
So now I know you do a lot of work with, the owners, and you're here to impact 1,000. I think it will be way more than that.
Hope so, definitely.
What is it that you find is the constant message that you are sharing with owners, with directors over and over and over again? So this might be like Michael's top strategy for the work that he does, because you're hearing the same thing again and again and again. So let's give our viewers that piece of gold.
Love it. So the biggest thing that we're saying is you cannot communicate enough.
Ooh,
so we've got a lot of centers that are in all different kinds of situations. From they're closed temporarily. So we've got some centers in New York City that are closed. We've got plenty of centers that are open. I believe when we pulled the metric yesterday afternoon, I think it was 89% of the centers that we work with are still open, or maybe 90, just below 90%. So most of them are still open. But the challenge is that even though they're open, there's all different kinds of kind of noise all around that. So they've got people in the community saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're still open. You should be closed.
Right.
And they have a lot of the counties saying, we need you to be open for the first responders, and we're so grateful. And then you have a lot of the families that have their kids there, and a lot of them are first responders or people that they have a job where it would be, close to impossible to try and keep track of your kids and work at the same time. So you've got a lot of those kinds of people. So on the flip side, then they have families that decided to withdraw, and you've got some that are just saying, just for now, I'm going to just kind of withdraw my enrollment. You've got others that are saying, I don't know what's going to happen. I want to withdraw because I don't want to pay, and I want to make sure you maintain my spots. You've got all these different kinds of situations. And when we've looked at it, we kind of took a step back and said, how can we come from a place of service, come from a place of just wanting to deliver value? But for me, it's all about attention. So as a marketing guy, my goal is to make sure that your center is in front of more attention than the other center down the street. Mm-hmm. So I said, how can we make sure that we maintain that attention, regardless of if you're closed, regardless of if your people are still continuing to come, the families are happy, sad, whatever the situation. So what we have said is we want you to be sending at the minimum once a week an email, a text message, and a voice broadcast. So a lot of centers, they're sending kind of a weekly update, and that's great. And that is kind of what I would say is a step one. I'm a huge fan of all things mobile. And text messages have a 99% open rate. So if you want to make sure that you're actually getting to the families, you're going to send a text message. Now, you're going to be changing the message, obviously, based on the medium that you're sending. So your email can be a long, drawn-out email, and it shouldn't be simply an update as to the current state of affairs. It can be part of an update, but then I want you, very similar to what you were saying, Julie, earlier, of kind of positive messages. I want the newsletter to come from a place of positivity, to talk about kind of as things continue to get better. I don't want the newsletter to say, dear parents, well, we're here with another week and we don't know when we're going to be reopening. Like that's going to do the exact opposite of what we're hoping to accomplish here.
Yeah.
So that email is fine. The text message would be a very condensed version, but it could be literally as simple as, hey, this is Julie with ABC Academy. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. Just was thinking about you. If we can help you in any way, feel free to text back.
Yes.
With a little emoji. So you've got to, again, keep in mind the medium of text. I'm not saying, shorten things and put LOL and spell love, LU, like as my 11-year-olds are doing with texting, but you got to be a little bit more casual. And then to me, the trifecta or the holy grail then is I also want you to do a voice broadcast. Mm-hmm. And that is very similar to the text message. And it would say something like this. Hey, this is Julie with ABC Academy. So sorry I missed you. And I'm going to come back to why you're going to say so sorry I missed you in just a second. Awesome. So you would say, so sorry I missed you. Again, I was just thinking about you. It's a great week over here at ABC Academy. We miss you lots. And again, if we can help you in any way, please feel free to call us back at this number. So with the voice broadcast, what it does is it's called ringless voicemail. So it actually will ring their phone number and it'll actually go right to voicemail.
What?
Now, the reason that I suggest a ringless voicemail versus calling everyone individually is, you've got to be realistic with your time that you may not have an hour to get on the phone with 100 families every single week, for example. So we're aiming to kind of put a little bit of automation in play because you're going to do this every single week. So not just like a lot of centers put out some communication a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And then I'm asking them, what have you been sending the parents the last couple of weeks? Well, not really much. And well, that to me is step one.
Right.
And it should go to not just everyone that's enrolled, and you can obviously segment out the list. And if you want to craft different messages, you can. So there could be a message to people that are currently enrolled. You could modify the message to people that kind of decided to disenroll. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't want you to overcomplicate it yet. The phrase that you'll hear me use on a lot of these shows is sloppy success.
Ooh, okay.
So what I mean by that is simply take some action. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yes.
Because if you start overthinking it and saying, oh my gosh, Michael's saying I need to send an email, a text, a voice broadcast every week, and I need to send a different one to 5 different audience, like you're going to overthink it and you're not going to execute.
Right. Right.
It's getting in that habit of just staying top of mind. And I want you to continue to have those parents' attention.
Yes. And that's what I was going to ask you is why do you think, and I have my opinion on this too, but why do you think some people just don't do it? Because I think that they get caught up somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think they don't know how to execute the technology, and they don't have, systems in place to kick out an email other than just loading things into Gmail and doing a blind carbon copy or throughout. So I think a small part of it is the technology.
Yeah.
But if I really look at it and analyze it, and I've asked the owners the exact question, it comes back to what you shared earlier. A lot of the owners that we're working with, they're scared out of their daylights, and they are having a tough time being. It can be a challenge to come from a place of gratitude and happiness and love when they're saying, well, I had 140 enrollments in February. Now I'm down to 19 and can't pay the lease. So they don't know what to say.
Yeah. And
the challenge with that is that sadly, it's kind of serving the purpose of kind of a double whammy. And what I mean by that is they're not putting out anything positive, but they're then really going to have a tough time, in my opinion, as the economy continues to open up. And there's a lot of states that are already reopening, and we're seeing, several centers across different states that are their phone literally just between the last 24 hours is starting to ring a lot more.
Yeah.
That those, if I use that center as an example, and this is a center in Texas that we work with, They had literally had 140, and then they're down to 19 or 20. And those 120, they would be very interested in coming back. They were just nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not putting out any energy and any messaging that shows you're not nervous, why would they come back to your center? They're going to end up going to one of the other centers that is continuing to put out messaging, that is continuing to put out content, because there's always this, I guess I'm going in a little bit of a soapbox, but
which is good. We need to hear it.
Yeah. The number one kind of ask that when I throw this question to centers, also, what is the number one source of leads? And I guess I'll put you on the spot and ask you what you think the answer is. So if you own a childcare center, what do you think the number one source of leads for those center is?
A lot of people say word of mouth.
Exactly. So I hear that 100% of the time.
But then they're not full. No.
Yeah. Well, there's that. And then usually I'll hear, well, I've never had to do marketing.
Right.
And
yes,
I will tell you.
You hear that a lot.
Like, I mean, there's even a Montessori school locally that I've been analyzing, because I've personally wanted to get into the childcare space, and that I know is for sale. And they've done zero marketing and up to this day, and they're not full. And the piece that I'm pushing back on, and this is not just a play to say you need to be doing marketing, but your parents are not going to be as loyal to you as you thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of centers that are like, oh, I'm seeing people's true colors. And they're saying that with like a lot of these families that either they gave price breaks to or scholarships, that those were some of the first families that said, no, I'm going to disenroll. I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to send my kids. And they're like, well, geez, I'm really seeing a lot of these families' true colors. So I'm telling the center owners that you need to continue to grab that attention, because I really feel like there's going to be like this mass land grab, so to speak, when things continue to reopen. That, I mean, there are going to be a lot of centers that don't reopen, and I hope that's none of the people that are listening. But there's
we're gonna make sure it's not.
Definitely, we got to make sure.
We're gonna
definitely,
get. We're gonna
definitely. But when I look at that, I'm worried that if you're not actively communicating your message, and not just through a weekly email, but from other channels to make sure that you're getting through, someone else is going to end up grabbing a lot of those families.
Yeah. You know, and I think this is such incredible, valuable information. And I encourage everybody, write these things down as your action items, right? Get connected with your families. And it doesn't take much, but saying, hey, hello, how are you? But where I see people stopping, and some of our clients have difficulties with this, is they don't know what to write, and they're afraid of their own words too. So, you know, maybe, and if this is you and you don't know what to say, I say you start with your vision, and then you look under your vision and say, well, what are some keywords in my vision? And what are some keywords that I could throw out there to the parent? So if the word happy is in your vision, and that's what you want to do is create happy children, then you might be like, I hope everybody's happy. I just wanted to check in on you and see if there's anything I could do to increase your happiness. So there's just things that you can do or say that tie into your vision that are really simple, that are going to set you apart from everybody else, because you don't want to do everything like everybody else is doing. You don't want to do it. You almost want to look at what everybody else is doing and do something totally different, do something totally crazy, and just really stand out in a different way, because now is your time. And there are still so many people fearful to go live. And I'm not seeing a lot of my followers going live on their personal pages. I mean, right now, I think it's like open real estate for who you're going to wrap your arms around, because people are at home, and they say even staff members are like 60-something% actively disengaged every single day. And when you think about yourself and your own buying habits, how many times do you think like, oh, well, maybe there's a better way I could get movies on my TV? And maybe there's a less expensive way. Maybe there's something that we'll enjoy more. We're always considering other options. And that's why what Michael's saying is so critically important, because you got to be top of mind. You got to make these people feel like there is no other option. We are the option, because this is our vision. And if your child misses out on the opportunity to enroll with us, they miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime. And you got to be preaching that in your own special way. Like, what did you say, Michael? 3 times a week? But you've got to be doing it like every day in some way with staff or with parents or with other people who don't yet know you're brilliant. So you could be wrapping your arms around.
The ones that, and I am not advocating for what I'm about to say, but rather just giving you an example.
Just like a disclaimer.
Yeah, the centers that we are seeing communicating the best are faith-based centers. And the reason it is that they believe in, I mean, that there's a higher power, for example, and they're sharing inspirational Bible quotes and things like that. And I will tell you that when we analyze the centers that are doing the best right now, they are the faith-based centers. And when I looked at it, I said, well, why is that the case? And it is because it's also partially due to the mindset of the families, but they're also putting out a lot more content, and they're sharing. I mean, we've got some centers that they're sharing 3, 4, 5 posts a day on Facebook. They're sharing various like little, I mean, short snippet of videos. They're not worried to go live. So as you said, I mean, you've got to make sure you're communicating your vision, and you've got to break through the noise. It's funny you said, look at what everyone's doing and do the opposite. I'm doing a multi-part series on how to launch or how to market a childcare center from zero. And I think I'm on, I don't know, part like 19 or something. And the one that I did yesterday was exactly to your point of when you're putting out offers and when you're doing different things, I want you to look at what everyone's doing and do the opposite. Because if every center is, they're saying, well, you're going to get 10% off if you come back and start in the month of May, and we're going to waive the enrollment fee. If 55 other centers are saying the exact same thing, how are you standing apart from the noise? And it doesn't matter if you're, I mean, Montessori versus non, or faith-based versus non. And obviously there's those differentiating factors, but there's got to be more to it. There's got to be more icing on the cake of why. And even if you're trying to figure that stuff out over the coming weeks or months and nailing down that vision, the centers that I believe are going to win are the ones that, even if they're just trying and they're staying in front of you and they're just being authentic and transparent and raw. I mean, it doesn't matter what everyone is at home, and I mean, it doesn't matter. Like no one's going to send you a long email back if there's a typo in one of your weekly kind of status update emails to the families. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you sent this out and you didn't have someone proofread it. They're going to be more grateful to be hearing from you, because everyone is still looking for someone to kind of latch on to, and they want to latch on to positive people, and they want to feel hope, and they want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that could be every one of you that's listening.
Yeah. So this goes back to my original statement, or one of my opening statements about, vision beyond present circumstances. And from what you're saying, Michael, is that the faith-based centers are doing that really well. And because they do have a vision beyond present circumstances, whether it's God or whether it's, whatever, it is for, people who are preaching different things, but it's a vision beyond the state that we're in. It's knowing that there's something greater that's going to be happening, or there's a greater good that's going to be coming from the situation that we're currently going through. And I think that's really powerful, that statement that you made, is that, the quotes, the expressions of hope, whatever it is, to get that out there and to let people know that you're the source of that. You cannot be just another stressed out staff member or another stressed out parent. You cannot be that and expect to thrive. And when this pandemic first started happening, I got a couple hate messages because I'm like, find something to celebrate. And somebody would write to me like, what can I celebrate? And this is horrible. And this, I'm like, what are you going to attract to yourself with that kind of thinking? So it's really shifting your mindset. And this is something I cultivate every single day. I wake up, I get my planner out, I have my morning routine laid out, but it's about cultivating your mindset so that you get in the right energy to where you become a magnet for the things that you want to attract. And then you put it out there, you put your quotes out there, you put your Bible phrases out there, you put whatever it is out there, but it's all an extension of you. And if you're not attracting the people who you're meant to serve, it's better that you just say, okay, we're not a good match. Go your way. I'm not here to serve everybody. I'm not here to serve everybody. Michael's not here to serve everybody.
Sure.
There's going to be people who resonate with Michael who are like, man, can't stand Julie, whatever it might be. But we're not here to like serve everybody. You're here to find your people, and your people are here. You just got to be willing to put yourself out there. And if you're not putting yourself out there in the ways that Michael and I are talking about, you're just going to be attracting a hodgepodge of things to yourself and going, ugh, why am I in this situation? Why am I attracting these kind of people?
Oh, and then it's a constant fire drill, and it's a constant, like, you're waking up. So I'll share a very, very quick story, because I know we've got maybe 10 or so minutes left, and I'll make sure that when we get closer to the end, that maybe we give our one big action item for the day.
Ooh, okay.
So I guess be thinking about that, and maybe you can find a fun quote that we can end with as well, to send everyone on with a positive quote. But
Okay.
so I've had a couple of businesses, and my first business was a digital marketing agency that I opened when I was young. And it ended up running me into the ground, because I woke up, and I didn't see this until after I sold the business and kind of, I guess, grew personally and professionally, was that every day I was waking up with the mindset of, what fire do I need to put out today?
Yeah.
To the point where I actually changed my job title on my signature line to Chief Firefighter. And I didn't realize how that was crushing my energy, how that it was crushing the mindset, how it was attracting clients that I hated until, like, after I literally had to sell the company because I was working 90 hours a week and I just saw no end in sight. So I kind of, what is it? The white flag when you surrender, I waved the white flag and basically, I mean, sold the business for peanuts and regretted it the day that I sold it. But I went on this journey of figuring out, what did I do wrong? And it's a lot of everything that you shared around mindset and being intentional about your day. And like, I started priming, as I call it. So you start kind of priming your brain, where I'll just listen to I listen to YouTube often, but I'll put like all those kind of motivational videos and things like that. And you're priming your brain to kind of get you in that mindset. And there's definitely a huge difference, if I look at the days that I do it versus the days that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So if I skip it, my mind goes back into, I need to be a firefighter, and what fire can I go put out? And I mean, it definitely starts your day off on the wrong foot if you have that. So I would definitely encourage everyone listening to really just look at, how can you be more intentional about your day? How can you really start to move your place, to not move your place, but just kind of move along that journey of seeing the opportunity? Because I don't know about you, Julie, but I'm seeing that there's going to be some insane opportunities the next couple of months. And, and if the numbers line up I'm seeing numbers from 25 to 50% of centers may not reopen. I'm seeing that once things continue to become, I guess, more normal, for lack of a better phrase, that, I mean, parents are going to want their kids out the door immediately to kind of bring some more sanity back to their life. That families that, like, we're getting a ton of calls across our centers for summer camp, families that have never thought about summer camp, like they want their kids out of the house. So, I mean, I think there's going to be an insane opportunity, but you're not going to be able to grab that opportunity if you can't have that vision and that dream that's bigger than the current reality, as you said earlier in the show. Of, if you're only looking at now, and I'm not saying you can ignore everything that's going on, but if that's all that you're focused on, if that's all that you can see, and you're not starting to look at how you can pivot, or if you're not starting to look at how you can improve your center, or using this as I'm using it as a learning experience for myself. I mean, my business is down quite a bit. And obviously, if we have I mean, centers that are struggling financially, I mean, it impacts kind of what they're doing from a marketing perspective as well.
Yeah.
But we're using it as an opportunity to look at how can we better serve? How can we, I mean, similar to you, I know that you're continuing to kind of reinvent your programs and your offerings and how you're being able to help with your consulting. And you launched that killer apparel line. I need to make sure I go and order some of those things for some of our childcare center owners.
Makes me nervous. I never meant to be like an apparel line designer, but I'll tell you a little bit about that in a few moments.
Yeah, definitely. So, but it like if the situation didn't happen, it wouldn't have caused any of us to kind of be a little bit more reflective and look at how can we better ourselves, how can we improve our companies, our childcare centers, so that should something like this happen again, that you're more ready and you're more prepared and you're ready to kind of ride that storm out, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I think what you shared is absolutely brilliant. It's a brilliant example, chief firefighter. You call yourself that, and then you're going to start working with, you're going to have more fires to be putting out, and you're attracting that to yourself. So I think that story is absolutely brilliant. Share that everywhere you can, because I think it's a great one. but it's true, and this is where we get into also, the place that we're operating from, our mode of operation, and I forgot what you called it, but I'll call it like the zone. So if you get yourself in that positive zone where you're like, oh, this vision is going to happen regardless of what anybody says, and I can't wait to bring this to life, and then you do something, you take action, you're going to start getting results. And it might not be from that action that you're taking, it might be from a different action, but the universe is going to start rearranging itself and start attracting that thing to you just because you're in that energetic zone and you're taking some kind of action that brings you joy, which is really important. But a lot of times, even when it comes to, and a lot of people are worried about staff right now, will they come back? Will this, and all valid concerns. But we're writing help wanted ads. We write those when we're like, somebody just quit. I need somebody. I don't know if everybody's going to come back. So I'm fearful I'm not going to have anybody. So I better put an ad out there. So I'm going to pull that one out that we used 20 years ago and hope that it gets some results. And we show people how to shift that. And we have people literally who in one weekend, and we had somebody, I'll tell you this story. We had somebody, her name was Heather, and she went through one of my programs and she's like, Julie, I went through this exercise with you. I got myself in the zone, rewrote that help wanted ad, and we attracted within 2 hours an ideal person to work for us.
Wow.
We've been looking for this person for 2 years. So there's so much truth to what you're saying about be careful about who you call yourself, how you identify yourself. And I really believe wholeheartedly that your vision was given to you for a reason, that original vision, it's there and it's for a reason. And every resource that you need to fulfill that vision is also here for you. And I would be looking at, just from a staying positive perspective, with your children right now, there's so much good that's coming out of the pandemic. I mean, there's a lot of bad, but the earth is healing. There's dolphins appearing. Why not send your kiddos when you do like an online lesson and say, find something good that's happening right now. And you can even do this with your staff and say, find the good things that are happening right now and come to our staff page and report 10 of those things. Or children, draw a picture of how the earth is healing right now. So you can really tap into and exaggerate and blow up the good that's happening. And that's going to be another way that you can stand out with whatever it is that you're going to be implementing. So your marketing or just whatever, but people are going to be like, I feel so confident, so good when I'm in your energy. I don't want to leave that. I don't want to leave it. And that's what we want to create. People who naturally and authentically feel connected and don't want to leave our energy.
Love it. So a couple of quick housekeeping things as we start to wrap this first inaugural
is it already
episode
over?
Up. Yeah, I mean, that's 55 or so minutes in. We're flying by. So a couple things. So we're going to start with Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. Julie is in the Chicagoland area, I believe, right?
Yes.
And I'm in Buffalo, New York. So I'm on the East Coast. So 9 Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. We're going to do Tuesdays and Thursdays to start with. And if our schedules free up, maybe we'll do some other impromptu ones, but we figured we don't want to overcommit initially, but try and give you as much meat as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
If there's any questions, this is broadcasting live on 5 different places on Julie's network and my network. Feel free to leave questions, comments. You like this, you want clarification on this.
Share it.
Yeah, definitely share it. Of course,
Out.
we want to make sure that we're able to help as many people as possible. So those are a couple of the quick housekeeping things. So we want to wrap with a couple things. So I'm going to put Julie on the spot and ask her for her kind of the number one, I guess, action item that you'd like to see the centers take. And I'll do the same thing. Would love to hear, I know you just launched it yesterday. I'd love to hear, maybe you could tell the listeners a little bit about the apparel line.
Okay.
And then we'll end with a positive quote. So maybe I'll put Julie on the spot today to share one of yours.
I got one. Actually,
perfect. And then I'll have one for Thursday. So
awesome.
what would be the number one action item that you'd like to see parents take? But before that, please tell them a little bit about how they can kind of get some of that fun apparel and fun messages and swag that you're rolling out.
Okay, so this is like an exclusive announcement. We haven't even announced this to the world yet. We opened up the shopping cart yesterday. We selected like 5 shoppers to come through because we're really trying to give everybody a very personalized experience. But the apparel line was just a brainstorm, and I've always kind of had it in my vision that I was going to create a line of product. But the past few weeks, I've really been noticing how childcare leaders and childcare teams need some recognition, and they're not being recognized as essential workers or the backbone of the community. So what we've done is we launched a clothing line of always essential gear that you can grab, and I'll give you the website. And like I said, it is not even officially launched yet. So this is kind of like exclusive you're hearing. So it makes me a little nervous sharing it too, because we're still testing. There's still some bugs, but we got some really good feedback yesterday from our first group of shoppers. So we've got things like t-shirts and sweatshirts and hoodies, and in future shows, maybe Michael and I will be sporting some of it. But it says always essential, proud, dedicated childcare provider. And then there's also selection for early childhood educator. And we have some really cool, neat designs. And when I came up with the idea that I'm going to do a t-shirt based around childcare providers being essential, we had a little contest over in our childcare business success group on Facebook, which we're also broadcasting live into. And we had people just draw out their designs. And we had a contest where we're giving away like $100 grand prize and some resort vouchers and different things like that. And Deborah Thurber was our concept creator who got the most votes in the group. And she was our award winner who came up with the concept. Then we took that concept, brought it to several different designers who came up with several different ideas. And now they're all on the website where you can go and grab some always essential gear. And we'll be rolling out some additional lines, but I love what we have there. I really do. And I think I've ordered every piece of merchandise myself. But here's the exclusive link. Ready? So if you're ready, give me a ready, Julie. And I haven't released this to the public. So this is, like I said. So here it is. Here it is. You could go to www.happychildcareteam.com. And I'll be in there later, just kind of monitoring the site, but feel free to go there, pick out your merchandise, grab it, get it. And I hope you'll take some pictures and show it off to me and Michael here on the show. So there it is.
Love it. Very cool.
Yeah. So happychildcareteam.com. Easy to remember. Go there, grab some stuff, connect with us over in Childcare Business Success in the group. And I'd love to see your gear.
Awesome. So definitely make sure everyone you grab as much as you would like. And I love the phrase and couldn't agree more. I mean, it's a great time to be sporting.
And I think the designs are so cool. You'll have to check it out, Michael.
Definitely. I'm going to go right after.
I'm going to send you some t-shirts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's end with kind of one action item from each of us and then that positive quote. So
awesome.
What would be the action item that you'd like to share for today?
You start? Okay. So, and I love to call this homework. I love giving my clients homework.
Perfect.
So here's your homework. And I want you right after the show wraps up, just to take out a piece of paper and a pen and do what I call messy writing and just write your vision. Write your why. And sometimes your why fuels your vision, but just play with it on a piece of paper and say, what is our vision? And even if you're like, oh, Julie, I've got a vision, I want you to pull it out of that deep, dark file cabinet or take the thumbtack out of it or the tape off of it and put it right in front of your face and read it out loud and ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does this excite me? And if it doesn't excite you on a 10 plus 11, 12, I want you to write and write and write and write until your feelings elevate, where your excitement is rolling. You're like, woo, this is getting good. So that is your one thing for me, is to write that vision until it excites the heck out of you, because I want you to be turned on and tuned in to what your vision really is.
Love it. Love it.
How about you?
So I'll use your phrase of homework. So your homework from this side would be to schedule an email, a text message, and a voice broadcast to go out this week, and then every week, essentially for perpetuity. So 3 things, same message, but you're just tweaking it for the medium. Obviously, I want you posting on Facebook and things like that. But if you get in the habit of hitting up the parents where they're getting an email, a voice broadcast, and a text, they're surely going to listen or see at least one of those 3, if not all of them. And they're just going to continue to stay top of mind, stay more connected with you, which is one of the main purposes of the show. So let's end with a positive quote. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in. And make sure you share this, like it, give us some hearts, give us some love.
Yeah, let us
Julie
know what you think. Write some comments.
We're going to continue to kind of evolve with the show, and maybe I'll go buy some props, and who the heck knows how this thing will continue to evolve. But we're doing it to help and support you, and to continue to keep our frames of mind in the right place also. So when Julie and I initially talked about it, it really, if we're coming from a place of service, and it just starts our day off on the right foot when we're kind of delivering value. So thank you ever so much for tuning in, and we look forward to continuing to share as much as we can with you.
Yeah, just a reminder, we'll be back Thursday at 9:00, and one of my friends, my accountant, is going to be joining us. Her name is Maddie Brown, and I want you to think about all the financial questions that you have, things that you're still struggling with or uncertain about, and she's going to come and give you some fantastic tips, in addition to some mindset, motivation, and marketing that Michael and I will be providing. So make sure you put it on your calendar, and actually get your cell phone and set your alarm so you don't miss it, because we want to wrap our arms around you. And I'll get a little mushy here, Michael. We really want to love you up. We want to see you succeed. So we're going to give you lots of love, lots of strategy. And sometimes that love is going to be a little tough love, but we want you to get it so that you are able to thrive and more than survive during this time. All right. So my quote is, and I have a little prop here, but it's let your dreams be bigger than your fears. Comes out of one of my, I don't want to show you my success journal here, but let your dreams be bigger than your fears. So it's in a little journal that I have.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Perfect quote.
Now, what did I write here? Okay. All right.
Perfect.
So this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And
likewise.
I hope it serves everybody in a big way.
Sounds great. Well, have a wonderful Tuesday, everyone. Share this. Love it. Ask us questions, and we will catch you on Thursday.
And do your homework.
Do your homework. See you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.